Good evening, Roll Tide, everybody. Welcome into the Bama Tailgate Daily and the Bama YouTube channel. I'm Chad Anderson. Thanks for being here. Mick Gillispie, like we said last night, out some this week. He will be back in the flesh live from Tuscaloosa on Friday night as we get you ready for the Crimson Tide and Chattanooga. That's coming up on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Tonight, we've got Coach Nick Saban's post-practice press conference, his traditional Wednesday press conference. So we'll have that for you as soon as Coach steps up to the mic. But let's get things kicked off tonight here on Bama Tailgate Daily. All right, welcome back in. Chad Anderson with you. Bama Tailgate Daily. It is Coach Nick Saban and his press conference for the post-Wednesday practice. We're going to go ahead and get Coach up here on the screen and get him set. He should be joining us here any moment. And let's see here. Wait for Coach. And I think he's ready. Give him just a quick second. I think I saw him coming up here. Usually right around 6, couple of seconds before, couple of seconds after. Setting up the, is that Cedric? Setting up the Coke bottles, the Dasani water. He's got to be close. Alabama, Chattanooga, 44.5 is the spread, by the way, for those of you curious about this weekend. Alabama, 44.5-point favorites over Chattanooga. Here's Coach Nick Saban.
So, we're trying to emphasize with the players, and they've responded, fairly well. But the number one focus, this week needs to be on this game. We need to take care of business in this game. I got out the 2016 game, which was the last time we played these guys, and the score was like 3-0 or something halfway through the second quarter, and we were behind. So, and just about all the players out there playing were, really good players, most of whom played in the NFL. So, having your mind right, having the right focus on what you want to accomplish and what you want to do, having the right passion for how bad you want to do it, and having the mental toughness to, handle tough and difficult situations, handling hard, I think is really, really important. Um, you know, we need to focus on what we need to do to take care of business in this game. And, the players have been pretty good about that so far.
Yeah, how have Deontay and Jaylen and Jaylen Key, I should say, Jermaine progressed in terms of their health this week?
Jermaine Burton is fine. He's practiced. Jaylen and Devontae are both, moving around, running, rehabbing, getting close to being ready to practice and play. But um, I'd say it's still pretty questionable as to whether they can make it for the game. If they can't practice tomorrow, then most of the time we don't. If guys can't practice on Thursday, we don't think they're healthy enough to play in the game. But we'll see what comes of that tomorrow.
Yeah, hey coach, with a guy like Roydell Williams, just what has he meant to the program as an in-state guy, overcoming injury and sticking around for his senior year?
Well, Roy Dell's a great team guy. I mean, he's a really good special teams player, great character. I think he loves Alabama. He loves his teammates. He's a really good teammate. Um, been very productive every opportunity that he's gotten, whether it's to play running back or do something on special teams, be a kickoff returner. He's always the first one to step up. He's always got a smile on his face, and I think he's a great example for guys that sort of persevere in their career and overcome obstacles and become very successful um, because of that. Because I think that's probably one of the ingredients you need to have to be successful.
Chattanooga has a couple wide receivers putting up pretty good numbers this season. What do they do that's kind of a threat in the passing game?
Well, first of all, the quarterback's a really good player. I think the guy was at UCLA for 4 years or something like that, and so he's a major college passer. He's very smart, makes good decisions. All these guys, good skill set. I'd say they're on the level of SEC receivers. They throw a lot of RPOs and a lot of advantage throws. So these guys get a lot of touches in games depending on how you're playing on defense. So it's a talented group, and they have one of the best offenses, in their league, their division, whatever you want to call it, in the country.
Malachi is a guy that came on, played immediately as a freshman, got hurt, kind of took a back seat, and then it seemed like he's really emerged again this season. Just what have you maybe seen, just his overall progression throughout his career?
Yeah, Malachi has always been a guy that we have a lot of confidence in. We always had a lot of trust that he's a smart player, played multiple positions. Every time that he's had to play, he's played extremely well. And, last year he played mostly in dime, when we played dime. This year he's playing all the time, safety and star. But I've never ever considered Malachi in his entire career since he's been here as a freshman as not being a starter, and a very good one that we could trust and rely on to go out and do a really good job for us. And he's never disappointed us. All right, thank you all.
I'm sitting here talking while I'm on mute. I feel like a phone conversation. Short and sweet tonight from Alabama head coach Nick Saban. If you go back and look, Bama 44.5-point favorites this week against the Chattanooga Mocs. Game coming your way at 11 a.m. Central Time. It's Senior Day in Tuscaloosa. It's on ESPN Plus or the SEC Network Plus. Also, if you look at Alabama and Chattanooga, last time they played, let's dive back into that one for a moment. Crimson Tide, it's been 7 years since they met up with Chattanooga. The Mocs, as you heard Nick Saban say, actually held the Crimson Tide no points in the first quarter, and Chattanooga actually had a 3-0 lead going into the second quarter. Bama went on to win that game 31-3. Chattanooga didn't even put up 200 yards of offense. The story was more Alabama's lack of scoring ability in that game. So Crimson Tide did turn it on second quarter and beyond. But going back and looking at some of those stats, and let's revisit some of those previous players and what they did in this game. Jalen Hurts, of course, the NFC champion quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles from last year, obviously has turned into an amazing NFL quarterback, leading the Eagles under Nick Sirianni. 15 of 21 in that game. Only 136 yards through the air, had 3 touchdowns. Remember, this is Jalen as a true freshman. Hurts also had 16 carries in the game for 68 yards. Did not score on the ground, even though he had 3 through the air. On the rushing attack, it was Damian Harris leading the way for the Tide. 13 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Derek Gore and Josh Jacobs combined for 8 carries and 37 yards. On the receiving side, Calvin Ridley, 7 receptions, 94 yards in the contest. Cameron Sims, O.J. Howard, and Garrick Dieter all came in as well with a combined 8 receptions in that. Defensively, Ronnie Harrison led the way with 8 tackles. Anybody have any sacks? These stats are old. They don't always transfer over, but apparently Alabama didn't sack Chattanooga the entire day. Papanastos did hit a field goal of 33 yards. J.K. Scott was the punter. That kind of gives you just an idea of what it looked like 7 years ago. Crimson Tide, like I said, 31-3 winners. Let's take a look. Any comments here? Roydell seems like awesome dude. Yeah, Roydell Williams, fantastic player. I think him and Terrion have really kind of captured a lot of the Bama hearts this year with being more visible. Rick, yeah, I mean, nobody wants to play Alabama. I'll give you that. And everyday American here. Yeah, I'll give you guys that. If you went out, should be in, no question about it. I hear you. Rick, they don't want us in the playoff. We need to look like a playoff team Saturday. I don't disagree with you. However, I think with the committee, they're so focused on what you did just the previous week. I know they're still penalizing Washington. They say they are for how they played against Arizona State and how they played against Stanford. And yes, they didn't look very good. But I think with Alabama, when you have games on the road at Auburn to end the season, and if the committee knows anything about the Iron Bowl, that's not an easy game, no matter what the records are. And then playing what we hope to be number one and undefeated Georgia in the final or championship weekend in Atlanta. I just think they're going to look at the most recent wins. But yes, I agree. Bama doesn't need to take any chances. I'm still just not sold yet on the style points. All right, talking about injuries, keep the comments coming. If you've got something you want to drop in or a question for me, hit me up. Like I said, Mick Gillispie, he'll be back with us on Friday night. We'll have, of course, the Bama Tailgate Daily and be bringing that to you live from Tuscaloosa. So looking forward to that and being back in T-Town one final time before the season comes to a close. Let's see here. What else we got? Let's throw this one up. All right. So key injuries, of course. Jermaine Burton was mentioned by Coach Saban. Burton isn't injured. He was just sick against Kentucky. I don't think he even made the trip, they said. He woke up on, it was Thursday or Friday, felt terrible, did not even make the trip up to Lexington. So Jermaine Burton isn't hurt. And I believe Coach said he had even practiced all week long. So Jermaine Burton is good. Now, Lawson Key and Ja'Cory Brooks, these are three that I don't know. Maybe they'll play. I would kind of be surprised if they come out and play. You know, Saban always talks about in these games, hey, we can't overlook these guys. We can't take them for granted no matter who it is. We still got to stay focused. One thing I'll say, and let's just admit it, Bama could sleepwalk win this game. It may not be pretty. Maybe they sleepwalk and win the game 17-7, but they could sleepwalk and win the game. Bama's going to win the game. But the problem is, in my opinion, if you're not focused, if you're not dialed in, if you're not playing the next play and keeping your attention on this game and the opponent in hand and try to avoid looking forward and thinking past Saturday, it's not about winning and losing at that point. To me, it can become more about injuries. This is the game where everybody holds their breath and says, oh my God, just win the game, win it 38-3. Do like you did 6-7 years ago. Win the game comfortably. Never have it in doubt. Don't even give anybody a chance to be like, yeah, they kind of had you for a quarter there. None of that. But if you're not focused, that's when you can have injuries. You let your mind wander. You aren't focused on this play because you're thinking about maybe what Auburn would line up and do in this formation, or you're on the field thinking about next week down on the plains, or you're thinking about something else that just has nothing to do with Chattanooga. To me, that's where it can get dangerous. And the focus is not for winning and losing. You're going to win the game. The focus for me is the injuries can creep up if you're not locked in and dialed in. This is a good Chattanooga team for their division and their sector of football. This isn't obviously SEC caliber by any means, not even a G5 or Power 5, but it's the injuries that I would worry about if you're not focused, locked in, dialed in coming up. So I would be surprised. Lawson, of course, has the foot injury. Key with the upper leg injury. It was quad or groin. I think it was quad. And then Ja'Cory Brooks is also, I would think, going to be out for this game. They're all listed as questionable, but Brooks being the wide receiver, his shoulder injury, I just don't see why you would put him into the lineup on Saturday. Continue to let other guys make plays. He's not necessary to win this game, and you just need everybody as healthy as possible going into the following Saturday. Speaking of Ja'Cory Brooks, remember 2 years ago down on the plains, he was the one that caught the game-tying touchdown pass at the end of regulation from Bryce Young on that final drive to make it 10-10. and send the game into overtime. So Ja'Cory does have a little bit of history down in Auburn, maybe some comfort, maybe some confidence. So definitely want Ja'Cory to be 100% healthy going into the Iron Bowl in a couple of weeks. Let's see. Roll Tide to you, Twan. We got everybody else covered. Shiesty thought Milroe was injured bad last week. I didn't. I wasn't worried about Jaylen Milroe. Obviously, when he went down, I held my breath on that first drive. But when they showed the replay, and you could see that he basically just took a helmet to the side of the leg. I'm not saying any of us could take that hit, but the fact that he took it to the side of the leg, it was just helmet to the thigh. I knew it was just more of like a dead leg stinger, whatever you want to call it. To me, that didn't scare me at all. It's when you watch the knee buckle or bend a different way, or something get caught underneath someone else, or you get rolled up on. That's when you get nervous, especially with Milroe, who is so dangerous with his legs and with his feet. That's when you get worried. But the way he was hit, and yes, he went down, but he kind of popped back up, trotted over to the sideline, came back in one play later. Did have a couple of more moments where he was still banged up here and there throughout the game, but overall, fine, no issues. Don't see any problems with Jaylen Milroe. All right, so here's the rest of the week as we get ready for Bama and Chattanooga. Coming up Friday night, again, 5 o'clock, we record a radio show that airs on Saturday. We do that Friday night, 5 o'clock. Mick and I will join you. He'll be in Tuscaloosa. We will come on a few minutes early, most likely, have kind of a pre-show, and then we will stay on 20, 30 minutes afterwards, have a little bit of fun post-show, and this is the final home game of the regular season. So keep that in mind. This will be the last time from Tuscaloosa this year. Then next week on Sunday and leading into Iron Bowl, next week is going to be packed. We're going to have a ton of fun, a lot of Iron Bowl previews. We're going to really break it down. This is going to be an extreme show. We're going to have a lot going on next week for the Crimson Tide and the Tigers. Everybody have a good night. That's it for us. We'll talk to you again later this week, and roll Tide, everyone.